We're live on Facebook. I'm just going to, because we are live on Facebook, what I'm going to do, because we had a few people saying they couldn't find us yesterday, I'm just going to start by actually finding if we are live on Facebook or not. I think that would be a
good idea.
A good idea. Yes, I can see us on the group.
Woohoo!
Okay, so that's good. Right, I'll get rid of that now. Okay, so welcome. We've got Ian and Sally with me today. We're going to be talking about rapport and body language. So, you know, I'm such a gentleman that I'm going to kick off with Sally. Sally, do you want to say your piece on rapport?
What can I say? Rapport is the most valuable skill as a coach that you actually need, I believe. It's about creating an environment so that you can communicate with your client. So creating an environment that will develop into an open, equal, non-judgmental and neutral relationship with the client. So that I haven't finished yet because I love rapport so much. Okay. Because when rapport is actually established, that's when the client will feel more comfortable and safe to share what they're thinking and what they're feeling and their beliefs without having the fear of being judged and or to be made feel stupid. And also, which I've noticed, is that you get less chances of people saying, I don't know, you tell me. Mm. And once, I still haven't finished. nearly there.
We'll stay as you. We'll stay. I'm just gonna break rapport with a few people as I have a sip of me tea.
Having a cup of tea. Right. Once the pupil actually shares their true feelings, because once you've got your rapport and you've got that relationship and the client actually starts sharing their true thoughts and feelings or their beliefs and their opinions, they're actually able to do that with you. That's when we're in a good position to help raise their awareness of how these thoughts and feelings are actually make such a big impact on their behavior and their choices when driving a car.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sally. Ian, you know,
expect me to follow that?
I know. You let her go first and then that's it, and you know, oh well, what shall I say?
Yeah. The only thing I think I can add is I agree completely with what Sally said, but I think the way I recognise good rapport is it turns into a conversation. Yes. It's very conversational, and you get a lot more done via the conversation on an equal basis, and that's always a really nice way to work with people. Effective conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to ask the question, and either of you can answer it. But you know, when we talk about developing rapport, how do we as coaches do that?
I think the way I do it. I mean, there's. I think if you take the stance of being interested and curious about the person that you're dealing with, I think that's a great starting point for rapport.
Yeah.
And if you're following that up with being attentive to them, that's it's helping to put them at their ease, and it's helping you establish that rapport.
Okay. All right, Sally.
Yes, I like what you just said there, Ian. It's true, because if people like to be felt as though they're interested, that people are interested in them, and that happens when we use another skill, which I'm sure you're going to be talking about, which is our listening skills. And our body language, if we have an open body language as well, non-verbal clues is very, very powerful when it comes to establishing rapport. It's more so than the actual words that come out your mouth.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to non-verbal and verbal rapport, but something you said there, Sally, is that people like themselves. And
or either like themselves or people that they like. Yeah, that's it. Who they want to, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, if you show an interest in someone and you're curious about someone, that person actually likes you because it might be the first time they've actually ever had a voice.
Mm.
So yeah, absolutely spot on. So what do we do verbally, first of all, to help with that rapport? Because everyone's different. So we can't use exactly the same thing every single time. We do things differently. Mm-hmm. So I'll go with Ian first.
Verbally, well, it's you're listening for things that, you know, and I know you're talking about verbally, but we respond verbally to what we hear them say, and we're listening for the words that are going to trigger further and deeper discussion. And you don't really know what those words are until you've spoken with them for a little while and got to know them a little bit. You can, it's confirming what they're saying, what you're understanding by what they're saying is actually what they mean to say.
Mm-hmm.
Even just simple things like this morning, I was doing a lesson, and when I asked how did that, it was okay. Well, what does okay mean to you? Is okay better than good? Is good better than okay? Give me a bit more information here. So it shows, by showing you're attentive, and again, by being interested in what it means to them, can very much develop the rapport, I find, anyway.
Okay, good. Sally, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, what Ian said is yeah, listening to what words they're using and perhaps using their words, so then they actually, again, enhances the fact that we're actually listening and paying attention. And sometimes maybe perhaps listening a little bit deeper to the type of words, because that may give us a little bit indication of what kind of learner they are, even, you know, if they're using visual words, if they're using audio words. When it comes to actually words, voice, I would relate it to the tone that we decide to use, or even the speed of our speech, whether or not we're going to match theirs, because our client's speech may be slower. And then if we slow our tone or our, you know, our voice, then we're at their level. If you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, great point, because, you know, and after a while, and we'll come on to mirroring matching later, you can actually, if someone is a little bit slow in their processing, you can gently speed them up by just talking at a little bit faster pace. But if you speak too fast, they won't be able to process it. It becomes really, really difficult for them. So it's understanding that if I speak at that pace, someone may find that difficult, but there again, somebody else, I may need to match that pace. And, you know, someone who's fast paced is really challenging to be able to listen to. You've really got to focus on someone who's got a fast pace to them. And it's like, whoa, hang on a minute, well, I missed off of that, stop, slow down, start again, you know. And I think you have to be honest with someone as well in building rapport, that especially, you know, if you've missed something or you're not hearing what they're saying, you know, building rapport is going, hang on a minute, can I just check with you? Yeah, because, you know, I'm not understanding. It's not you. I just need to understand what you're meaning. Can you just explain that again? And if you've got the rapport, they will. And if you haven't got the rapport, you'll find out very quickly. They won't want to. They just think you're stupid. Let's talk about some of the non-verbal clues that we get, because what does our body language actually say about us?
What we don't want to say out loud.
Sorry, I've just got, that's easy. See, look at what happens. You know, my Facebook pings off Messenger and I didn't hear anything because somebody's now trying to get hold of me and it popped up on my screen. And it's so easy, isn't it, to just lose rapport with someone because that happens. And Ian, you know, my apologies, I don't know what you said.
It was something like what we don't want to say out loud. That's what our body language says. It gives us an insight into whatever sorry, there was a fly. An insight into perhaps how they're feeling or what they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because it's that you know, your body language speaks the truth quite often, and it can betray you. And I know, Sally, you touched on something when I was speaking to you earlier, and I think it's really important that some people will mask their body language. Sorry, my lights have just gone out. No one's in. The light's gone out and no one's in. Yeah. So, because who does that? You know, who masks body language?
People that lie.
People that lie. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think something else is like, it's worth watching if you want to learn a little bit more about body language. It's worth watching. I don't know, let's just say EastEnders, and I don't watch it, but don't put the sound on and see if you can interpret the messages that are being put out in the non-verbal clues. I mean, we get a lot of expression in our faces. I mean, smiling is such a great way to build rapport. It works. Yeah. Ian just looks like he's going to eat something normally. He's like, yeah. But it's great, isn't it? You know, you know, people watching this will smile with us if we're smiling. And also, I suppose that rapport building, what I just did there is to sort of just chuck a little bit of bad humor into it. And that just helps build rapport as well. So what sort of clues can we get from people in their body language?
When you say clues, are you talking about what kind of emotional state there might be? Yeah. So crossing hands could come across as being quite defensive. If somebody just doesn't want to engage with you, they're not open to you. So you could think of it like that. Generally,
yeah, because I could just be cold, yeah.
Yes,
but
they could just be cold, or they could just be comfortable. That's the way they like to stand.
Yes.
But facial expressions, and especially microfacial expressions, is usually what gives people away. And I think we had this discussion last time on the Tuesday, wasn't it, about what coaching does, and both sides, not just for the coachee, but also for the coach. So being aware of how our thoughts and our mental instincts, first thing is just being aware that how somebody's just come out the house, the way they've dressed, and having that stereotype thought, negative thought might go into our heads for a split second, being aware of it, and then adjusting yourself or your mental state, you know, to refrain yourself. To be able to get yourself thinking positive, or your whole body language.
Absolutely. Ian, I was just thinking, you know, about what Sally was saying, and that it triggered off me thinking about that environment, that coaching environment. And if I was the coach, you know, and if I'm, you know, coaching you now, how does this feel?
It's reinforcing a hierarchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's reinforcing that I'm there because of you, not because I want to be there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's, you know, you can tell we've all had those clients who are disengaged. Yeah,
You just work harder.
Yeah, you know, it's and I think it's things to notice. I mean, I notice when I'm watching clients, and they just want a little bit of comfort. Yeah, yeah, just that sort of self-comforting or self-rewarding sometimes, and I know that if we look at the DVSA standards, there's a lot in there about body language.
Yes.
Yeah. And I wonder how many of us as driving instructors actually take the time to study that body language. Because if people, well, what happens? You want to build rapport, but if you're anxious and uncomfortable, what's the danger with rapport building? What happens, Ian?
Well, you can't build it if you're uncomfortable and nervous and unsure. You're not going to strike a chord with people you're dealing with.
Yeah, you have
to.
You've got to front it out a bit.
Yeah.
I think doesn't it pass on to them as well, because they can pick up on those clues and those little body language, and even if, like I said, it's so easy to transfer the way your emotional state is to the client. So if you're quite nervous, that's what happens when people go for the part 3 of the standards check, without realizing that because they're actually nervous, their behavior changes. So the client subconsciously picks up on that and also becomes nervous.
Yes, no, it's a great point. I mean, that transference of body language for one another, which brings me on to the positive side, actually, of that, is because, if you're using good mirroring skills, and mirroring is matching somebody else's body language, but without playing Simon Says or, parroting someone. If you can do that and you've built rapport, you will see the other person start to match you, and they don't even know they're doing it, and so you can pump them up, without even realizing, that stuff like stand tall, chest out, smile, walk tall, those words. But if we put them into our actions and our movements, we can transfer that across to our clients and start to make our clients feel really good about themselves before they take that part 3 or the driving test. Because if you go in feeling confident and your body language is good, you'll feel good with it. And a good coach will be able to transfer that across. I mean, I wonder how many people failed their driving test with me in the early days when I was more nervous about them, taking their test than what they were, And I wonder how many times that nerves transferred to them, and it affected their performance. Whereas if you're using your body language to say you're confident in them, that rapport, and you've spent a long time now building rapport with these clients, it should move across. What else would you like to add to? I mean, Sally, I know you love the rapport, so what else would you like to add?
I think maybe perhaps the difference between the traditional way, what driving instructors and I thought how to build rapport with our clients, because I just thought, okay, as long as I'm smiling, as long as I'm talking about the weather, talking to them about their interests, and pretend that I'm quite interested in what they're interested in, I want to be able to build rapport, so I can pretend that I'm right then. But it was quite clearly false now when I think about it, because they may have been able to, they may have come out with things and I wasn't really connecting with them. And perhaps now looking back, my body language or my facial expression may have, they may have seen it.
Yeah, and I think if you show that interest, I mean, look, So I'm here drinking me Chelsea mug. And Ian, you're a Tottenham supporter. Yeah.
Is that another football team, is it?
That's another football team. Yeah, just pretend, Ian. Just
Okay.
pretend.
Okay.
You know, oh yeah, you know, I quite like Spurs. They're a good team. Yeah. Now, you know, yeah, everybody will know. Yeah, exactly. What do I really think? Yeah, the client knows what I really think, and I'm just trying to build rapport with them. But actually, you know, that doesn't work. We have to be interested in the person.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the key factor.
There's a
Ian.
really good example of what Sally was saying a few weeks ago. A young girl, 17-year-old, I taught her dad to drive. I was chatting with her outside the car, and she said, I said, are you excited about learning to drive? She says, well, I'm excited about learning to drive the technical aspects of it, but not necessarily the social aspects of it.
Okay.
So how did I deal with that?
Yeah. It's a challenge.
It's keeping the social interaction to a minimum and allowing our trust. Until we've got the rapport to take it, to expand it to where she's still comfortable.
Yeah, and actually that's a great, because it's a really interesting point, because if I do the relationship, that's the relationship starting point. She's there, you're there. Yeah. I'm not sure whether I can relate with this man. Yeah. Your job is getting that relationship equal so that she can trust you. And that's a big skill to have, you know, a big skill, so that when you ask questions, you don't get the answer that they're thinking he wants to hear.
Yes. Exactly.
They're getting the answer that comes from them. And, you know, we would all have experienced that with clients where you think, hang on a minute. This is me thinking. This is my thinking body language. Yeah. That's not their answer. They think I want to hear that, you know, and you get that all the way through, from learner drivers all the way up through advanced driving, fleet driving, people telling you what you want to hear. And also the knock-on effect to that is them behaving how they think you want them to behave. I wouldn't have done that normally. Well, why did you do that? Well, I thought you wanted to do it. That's interesting. So being able to break those barriers down is really the key in building rapport. Verbally, easily; non-verbally, more difficult, because what happens is we're not always self-aware. And I suppose I'm going to close this off because I'm conscious of time, and I don't want to go over 30 minutes. But Sally, is there anything you want to add before I close it? Because I've got one thing I want to say to people before I close it down as a bit of advice.
It's just to think a little bit deeper about what rapport actually is to what they believed it was, or what they believe it is. Because rapport is a lot more, and the reasons behind it and the advantages of gaining that deep rapport, so that the clients, whoever we're dealing with, are actually feeling comfortable and safe to be able to open up to us. And as you said, instead of them thinking that I've got to say what she wants to hear, so instead they are able to tell me and speak to me openly, and knowing that they're not going to feel judged at any point, because it doesn't matter. It's not about my opinion. It's about my job is to raise their awareness and how their thoughts and how their beliefs and attitudes may not be, correct. But then I do that without saying it, without offering an opinion, because we spoke about that last time, didn't we? So they have to work it out for themselves.
Excellent. Ian?
Just a little bit about opinions. I remember a long time ago, one of a colleague of mine said opinions are like bums, and everybody's got one, but we don't want to hear from them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that reminded me of fog, facts, opinions, and guests. But I want to finish by just saying to anyone who's listening, the key to improving your own body language and rapport is painful. Because when I say painful, I'm going to suggest you video yourselves. And the first thing you do is you video yourself, and the first time you play it back to yourself in silence so that you can watch and see what the body language says. The second time is you play it back with the audio on, but not watching it, so you can hear what your voice and tone is saying. And then the third time you watch it together with the voice and the video, what you can see. And if you do that, you will start to improve your rapport verbally and non-verbally very, very quickly. Great technique. I probably need to do it again, but I do, and you know, and I know Sally's going to do this as well. When we come off here, I'm not sure about Ian, because Ian's cool. He's laid back, you know, he's like, you know, but I will look at this and I will do exactly that when I've finished and go,
Like
done it again. Yeah. Take my foot out my mouth, you know, but you learn from it and you develop from it. So look, I want to thank you both for your time. I'm going to come off of Facebook Live now, so I'm going to wave goodbye to everybody. Oh, I like that. Okay. All right. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for listening.